So we're live. Oh, it actually is working both. How about that? Is that good, the camera? All right. So first I'm going to talk to everyone watching this live. This is going to be live on LinkedIn and Facebook. Actually, does this audio sound weird for you guys? Right? It does. Yeah, can you go to the sound guy? He's up the steps to the left and see if he can fix the audio. In the time being, but this mic is picking up the live, so which is why we're going to have to use it. If not, we'll unplug and we'll use the microphone from my phone, which is streaming. By a show of hands here, who here has done? Who here's been to a LinkedIn local before? LinkedIn local W. All right, so overwhelmingly everyone here is new. Is everyone familiar with what LinkedIn local is? No. All right. So out of any platform, unlike Facebook, now if you connect with someone, right, you're going to connect with someone that you've met in person. You're not going to accept friend requests from strangers, even often if they might have something in common when it comes to like even professionally. But if you don't know them, you generally don't accept. LinkedIn is unique. LinkedIn is unique because that you're actually going to connect with people. You're going to connect with people that you don't know. Meaning you might be connected with people on LinkedIn, and I'm connected with many of you here in this room, and I've never met you until today. And then the question is, why is it that I connected with a total stranger first? And more importantly, no, I'm scared of it. More here. I'm just going to cut this and we'll use the microphone from here. LinkedIn. That's why I've had LinkedIn Live now for over a year. I'm still the only marketer that's not in HR that has these things. I have access to a lot of alphas and betas organically, and I'm really lucky to be able to actually have a special voice and special advantages with LinkedIn because I have that special connection. I'll talk a little bit about my history with LinkedIn. It actually started in 2003 or four. I was studying finance, international business at the Fox School of Business at Temple University in Philadelphia. And I had the best teacher ever who forced everyone to get on LinkedIn when it was just a platform to get hired. That's all it was. It was an HR platform. And I loved it. And I saw it there, how I can connect with people. And it was basically that and messaging. There was no posting. There was nothing like it's nothing it is today. And if you look at LinkedIn today, 2 years from now, you're going to look back and you're going to say it's nothing that it is now. So, I mean, there's a lot of it's very interesting. And I fell in love with the platform. And since I studied finance and went into finance, I continued using LinkedIn as a way just to network and just it's basically to have a digital Rolodex is how I saw it as, and increasing my opportunities to be hired because I'm connected because that's what LinkedIn was known for. So that's how I got into it. And then once you were able to start posting, I started posting and never looked back. I post on LinkedIn much more than I post on any other platform combined. Even personal things that people would think that's more Facebook or Instagram appropriate. I don't care. That's my
That's where I like to post. That's where I like to engage, and that's where I like to be. I love the platform, and I understand it as an American, as someone that's worked at a Fortune 500 company, or I worked at Xerox. I am able to understand and map out the companies and corporations where people work and how they're connected. I understand that by being in it, and I understand the psychology of being able, unlike many Israelis, is actually provide value, be there for you. What can I do to help? Instead of saying, hey, buy my product. Hey, look at me. Hey, look at us. Instead, we're talking about being able to provide value. And so that's what we're here to do, to talk about. I'll let David introduce himself in a moment. Yeah, actually, that's we'll talk more about it actually when we talk into the conversation. This is going to be a conversation. We're going to ask for you guys to give your 2 cents and your feedback. The reason why I having David to join me in this is because he's been able to grow an audience, a whole different audience than mine, and a whole different method than I. Meaning, I'm going to be able to learn, and we'll be able to ask each other some questions too. He also, as we've discussed on our LinkedIn Live we did a couple days ago in advance of this event, of this meetup, that he sees building an audience and virality more as an art, and I see it more as a science. So you can tell I have the more finance and math background, and he'll talk about some other things that he's done differently. So I'll let David Wiseman introduce himself, and I want to make sure you touch on, even though it's not LinkedIn, but social media. Is anyone here familiar with any of the social media pages called Follow Team Israel? Anyone? Okay, so we got like 10 hands. Great. So if you're not sure, let's speak to it. He's a founder. Basically, it's all of Israeli athletes abroad. It's most Facebook and Instagram. I follow them strongly on Instagram. It's where you can follow them. I'll let you do the speaking. So go ahead. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you build your audience? And at any moment, if anyone raises your hand, like we're going to go straight to questions. This is a total conversation. So if anyone has any questions now or comments, feel free to chime in. It's always it's an open conversation. All right, go ahead.
Thanks, Yoel, and thanks everyone for coming. I'm really honored that you're all here, and anyone and everyone, you can all connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll accept all notifications as long as you're real. And if you look like a real person and you don't say that you sort of work for CNN and you're based in Antarctica, things like that, you become quite expert and adept at picking out fake.
Have you ever got a connection request from Antarctica?
No, but
has anyone here ever got a connection request from Antarctica?
A lot.
Yeah. What? Do you remember who or what they did or what?
Science related to the stuff I work on, so it was a real person.
But I don't want to single out specific countries, but you sort of become very wary and, like I said, adept at picking out where the fake profiles are coming from. So you'll seem genuine, and that I just want to touch on something that Yoel said about a connection. I've written a lot about LinkedIn connections, the value of a connection. What is the worth of a connection? What do you do with your connections? And at the end of the day, you're going to answer that for yourself. You have a lot of friends, and not all of your friends at the same sort of level. And the way I equated it in my post is, you wouldn't ask every single one of your friends to take you to the airport or pick you up from the airport. There are certain friends that you consider airport friends. There are certain friends that you consider helping you move house with, and so on and so forth. And that is the same thing with LinkedIn and the connections that you build. Some of the connections you aren't going to do a lot with, and others, you can have critical business partnerships that can see you scale to the next level. And at the end of the day, that's up to you, and what you do with that relationship, just the same way that you do with your friendships in real life. So I just wanted to touch on that. So as for me, I'm from Australia. Met Aliyah in 2004. Been living here since, predominantly in the high-tech startup industry. Currently working at 5Blocks, where I work in digital branding and online reputation management. And as you all said, I'm the co-founder of Follow Team Israel with Sharai Pillow, a page devoted to sharing the stories of Israel sport to the world. And we created that 8 years ago because no one was writing about the Israeli athletes in English. And there's many sports here that Israelis couldn't care less about. Rugby, netball, a lot of the time, hockey, and things like that. They don't pay much attention to women's sport. So we were like, we're going to do it ourselves. And it just grew from there. We actually achieved virality during the Winter Olympics. A number of our videos, had over 1 million views. We have crazy screenshots from the time, like your weekly views have grown 26.8 million%. Things like that, which was just
It's not even-
ridiculous.
Are you expecting that for the Olympics for baseball? You think you'll get a lot?
Well, yeah, I mean, Israel's
You
only
think you'll beat that?
well, first of all, the Olympics.
For those that don't know, somehow, well, there's a reason how, because as long as you qualify for citizenship of a country, you can represent them in the Olympics. And so as long as you're Jewish, you can technically become an Israeli citizen, so you can be represented. So basically, a bunch of American Jews are playing baseball in the Olympics representing Israel. So I mean, if you're a Jew in America,
They
this is
met Aliyah.
what?
They met Aliyah.
Oh, did they actually
Yeah,
have to?
they have to make
There you go.
Aliyah.
So they're also paying Bituach Leumi. So how you feel for them?
But we're hoping the Olympics actually take place. What's happening around the world now is very scary, and then deciding to have it in Tokyo, and yeah, it's a lot of people are very nervous. But yeah, we expect the page again to hit up, go to the next level during the Olympics, because we doubled in size. We went from 5,500 likes to 11,000 likes after 3 days of the Winter Olympics. So that's Facebook and sport. But then my passion about LinkedIn was I realized that I wanted to have an outlet. I'm not really on Facebook sharing political views and getting stuck into sort of my election opinion or my opinion about this or that. I just wanted to have an outlet where I could sort of write something that would make people think, make them laugh, challenge them, and it's gone on from there. And because of this, LinkedIn sort of offered me the chance where I can write and have subscribers. So you can subscribe to my post, and you receive a notification when I write something. I now have 16,000 subscribers, and now because I've sort of hit that level of critical mass, it's sort of you get that snowball effect, because every time I'm writing a piece, it just gets sent out to that many people. Okay, so let's backtrack to the beginning. How do you start? You want to become a voice on LinkedIn. So the way you have to do that is you sort of have to think of what's your community going to be. What are you going to write about? What do you have passion here about that you think people are going to be interested in? For me, it's combining current events, the news, professional life with our personal life, and sort of where the sweet spot of where those three things merge. So for instance, last week I started off talking about the Academy Awards and how Brad Pitt won an award. And if you're in the acting industry, you wouldn't begrudge, Brad Pitt winning one. It's not like if, and then I equated to class reunions. Sometimes we see that the kid who was eating glue in school is now like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. And we're like, well, how is he here and we're here? Like, what's happened in life? So I said, like, you never begrudge Brad Pitt. And then I used that to sort of write about Fight Club and some of the lessons we can take from Fight Club to apply to ourselves. And
So yeah, I want to touch on that. So one of the great ways, in my opinion, one of the best ways in general to create content that gets a lot of views and engagement is take something in your everyday life, and you might see this if you follow me. So and you apply it to, or you make a connection or a metaphor to business, or to what you're doing, or to productivity, or to anything that's related that, let's say, that might be relevant for people to see in their LinkedIn platform, and in their news feed. So just like he might take things like acting or Fight Club, things I could never be able to tie to something on, let's say, onto LinkedIn, right? But I can tie in the agriculture that has near my house, how they reap, and how they're reaping the carrots and all of that, or my daughters, you know what I mean, and what they're doing and what they're learning and how I learn through them. That might be my story. That might be mine.
yeah,
So what you need to do is you need to find out what is it that you love. What are your passions that are not related to business, and why do you like them? And there's a connection between what you do for a living, or what you are as a professional, or your personality, between whatever your hobbies are. Whether it's binge watching Friends on Netflix, or if you like kicking around a soccer ball, or whatever it is. All of these things you have to figure out and actively think how I can connect this into content. And by being able to connect this into creating organic content on LinkedIn, it becomes a lot more personal, and you're able to actually build a personal brand. That's really right. That's really how you do it. So why don't you get into So I do a lot of LinkedIn general just posts, and you do more of the articles.
yeah. So I'm a big fan of the TV show Succession. Is anyone else out here like Succession, the TV show?
What is it?
It's a great TV
Is it
show.
Australian?
No, not. But basically, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about nepotism in the workplace. It has a bad sort of name because because often people get jobs that shouldn't have as a result of their dad or the mum is the boss. But sometimes it makes sense that if it's going to be a family company, that it goes from generation to generation.
Donald Trump too.
So
Donald Trump
obviously, the cover image I used for the picture was of the president with Jared Kushner in the background, and so I got so many comments from people that hadn't even first of all read the article, and they were all saying, "This isn't Facebook. This isn't Facebook. Get off! Not Facebook. Not Facebook. Not Facebook." So what did I do? The next week, I wrote an article saying why this isn't Facebook, and I took a screenshot of one of the negative comments, and that was the cover image the next week. And so the thing is, why I bring this point up is if you are writing things, people have a very rigid opinion on LinkedIn. They're like, this is for work, and Facebook is for that sort of stuff. But the thing is, if you want to write and develop your voice, it's impossible for you not to sort of enter that Facebook self-publishing blog opinion world, because that's what you're doing, and people are automatically going to think that, okay, this is like Facebook. Because the thing is, my posts aren't written to sell something. There's no call to action except to subscribe to the post so that you receive the notification, or to look at a link to my online archive. All I'm saying is, this is something that you want to think about. This has got nothing to do with my work. I'm not doing this to sell my services on you or that you'll become a client. It's just about me, David. And because of that, it's like I'm saying, it's impossible for you not to sort of enter that world. So that's just something you should be aware of if you're going to be trying to develop your voice on LinkedIn. And I guess in some ways, that you're heading down the right track if you're getting engagement, if you're getting trolls. I always say I'm never angry at the trolls, because the trolls are the sign that people are reading it, people are engaging.
The same goes for haters.
Yeah.
Or the people complain it's not Facebook, not LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So let's just show of hands real fast. All right. Who here has posted on LinkedIn the last week? Okay, awesome. We got like 75% of the room. And who here has posted something that was not directly related to what they do in the workplace, in the workforce? Right. And so, can you guys give an example? Let's say what you've posted in the last few weeks that was not related to work.
Posted drone.
Say your name and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Yoni, digital marketing, paid campaigns. I posted a drone footage from Rashid of the balloon by the Dead Sea, right where I live.
Awesome.
Just nothing related to work at all.
And what did you write for the text, just in general?
Forgive me, it's Sunday.
There you go. Okay. And all right, good.
The highest video I've ever made.
Is it right? It's funny. In other words, anyone else here posting not directly related to work? Yeah. What's up, Moises? Wait, who are you?
My name is Moises Zach. Ellie's sitting in the front with his head down, but I saw a post that a common friend of ours posted that his product, and I replied. I don't recall what I replied, and I complimented him on his product, which are walk-on map flip-flops. Flip-flops that have a map on them. And I commented, and we engaged, and then lo and behold, in the mail, what we call in English snail mail, I got a pair of flip-flops with a beautiful note. So I posted as a shout-out Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you to Ellie for sending his product, personal mail with a beautiful note.
There you go. Awesome.
Just going back to the trolls, I never want to get in some sort of running argument debate with them. So if I get
It's like talking to Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, if I get any sort of troll comments, the only sort of engagement I'll give them is I'll like it sometimes, and then I'll move on, and I guess they don't know what to do with it.
They're thrown off.
Yeah.
But do you think other people see and they might assume you're not actually reading it?
No, I think
Because I just delete them. I get troll comments regularly, particularly in the last few weeks. I've seen it pick up. But all right, but that's not what people hear. Let's not talk about trolls.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell people about the size of your audience, how many subscribers and views you have? Because you'll see his numbers blow mine out of the water, but his audience and his method is totally different than mine, which is what we're here to learn. Is that there are different ways to build your audience, and there's different ways to get your post to go viral on LinkedIn.
So I'd say I've had 3 posts which I'd consider viral, and when I say viral, I mean 10,000 likes, 10,000 reactions. Now you can
not views, reactions.
You can love, the light bulb, all that. Yeah.
Curiosity.
So the first one I wrote about ghosting in the workplace. And the way that it came about was I was sitting with my boss and we were talking about a proposal to go out to a client because I was sending one out to I was sending out a new proposal and he was giving me a formal one that I was going to use as the basis. And he was like, "If the problem is I send these out and I never hear back from them, so you don't want to put too much work in it because like it's that sort of saying goodbye." And then a light bulb went on, ghosting. And we know ghosting from the dating world, and it's become more prevalent in the workforce because of HR people. Does anyone not know what ghosting means in this sense? So basically, you're having ghosting. First of all, can only exist. You have a very robust dialogue. So you send your CV to the HR person. 2 minutes later, they reply to you, come in for an interview. I want to come in at this time. Great. You come in for the interview. They're basically there's a back and forth. They're always replying to your emails and all of that. And then suddenly, at one stage, nothing. You don't hear from them anymore. And then you call them, no answer. If you've got their phone number, you try WhatsApp, it never goes blue. And now you're in this like awkward stalking feeling like, what do I do? And then, some people, if they feel like they don't get it and they think everything went well, might turn up to the office, which is like the worst thing you could ever do. Like,
So wait, so just so people understand, ghosting is basically what is it? A lot of back and forth, and then suddenly people they get off the map.
yeah, exactly. And you never hear from them at all.
So you wrote about ghosting, and why do you think this one?
Because a lot of people use LinkedIn purely to find jobs, and now they're like, and that and after a while of not finding a job, you get desperate, which fuels the ghosting even more.
It's a downward spiral.
Yeah, out of control.
Which is why you need to build your brand, because if you can build your personal brand, then it makes you much more visible to employers first on LinkedIn. I'm talking specifically with LinkedIn. I mean, build your brand in general is great, because that's where the employers, that's where the recruitment officers, that's where they're hanging out, and that's the first place they look. Because the search function on premium for LinkedIn is phenomenal, particularly for they have an HR premium where you can search about from people. It's absolutely astonishing. So I mean, you want to make sure your brand, that you establish your brand, and you're always in front of the eyes of other, let's say, decision makers or recruiters. And what it will do, it will make your value as an individual and as an employer, as a worker, looking for new work much higher. Yeah. Additionally, you'll be able to get a lot more offers. You can take that to your current place of employment and just say, hey, I have this offer. I would like to get a raise. Or you can use that. You can say, look, other people are offering me more. People want me. Some of my favorite marketers in Israel are the ones that are, let's say, like myself, very flamboyant on LinkedIn. I don't have to tell you who they are. You've seen them in your newsfeed. The flamboyant people on LinkedIn, those are the people that often get most poached. The one who sticks their head out, the one that you make yourself stick out, those are the ones that are mostly going to come after, which is why a lot of employers fear you being active on LinkedIn. It's really tragic. Ironically, you can do the opposite, especially if you're a marketer. You can provide more value to the company sales. You can provide more value to the company by engaging on LinkedIn. We have a client, they just do ads in the cybersecurity space, and I don't know how this happened. They're not paying me for it, but I'm coaching the R&D team to do like a weekly organic and video to show what happens behind the scenes, because it's very hard. It's very competitive to find good engineers, right? So now they want to make themselves elevate themselves against other people when you have very good engineers looking for employment. Yeah, Mark, you have a question? No?
So I just want to say I got a lot of response from HR people saying, hey, like it's not just the candidates who have been ghosting. We'll send out a job offer Monday morning, 9 a.m. Where's Bill? 11 o'clock. Where's Bill? End of the day. Where's Bill? And basically the candidates are fighting back and are actually ghosting HR and the companies. So that we're seeing it now with both sides. That sort of, if someone sort of has multiple job offers, they may not say to the other company, I don't want to accept your offer, or I accepted it, or I accepted somewhere else now. They're just sort of ghosting the HR people. And I guess they feel that's a bridge that they can afford to burn. So anyway, I'd written a number of posts before that one that had achieved 4,500 reactions, and my goal was to get to 5. And I knew this one about ghosting was different straight away, because after the first day of 1,500 likes, it sort of didn't taper off. It actually fueled. I could sort of sense by looking at my notifications that it was now sort of starting to snowball. And you can sort of sense when you put out any content when it's gone viral is because the notifications are now just happening all the time, and you can sort of it's powering itself now in a way, and it feels great. So that
So wait, what do you think catches the eye? So, and I actually like to hear from you guys. When you first post, do you ever, let's say you're checking your views or your engagement, and you see a much stronger views and engagement, let's say in the first few hours. Do you see? So we can all use our collective wisdom because we've all posted on LinkedIn. What kind of a post do you think? Do you find actually gets more virality or more views and likes earlier on? That like when first people see it, they immediately start liking it. Anyone here seen a theme? Yeah, what's up?
Yeah,
What's
so
your
I'm
name?
Cyrus, I'm a digital marketing manager. So for the company page, we see that guides and infographics, stuff that's educational, goes viral a lot faster. Whereas on my own profile, I see all the stuff that's not really work related, things that more pertain to my hobbies. So I'm really into game development. I follow some game developers on LinkedIn, and when I share that content, I get 10 followers the next day, 10 connection requests. And I don't post very often, so it's a significant increase compared to when I just share company content or marketing related content.
Right, excellent. So there is a theme here about sharing non-work related things on your personal profile, and about your business page. That's actually really interesting. What were you saying? What were you saying? You say guides and ebooks and things
Yeah, so
do better.
right. What I did was I basically I looked at who our target audience was on LinkedIn and saw what they were sharing, and I specifically looked at what they were sharing outside of their own company. So what were they sharing that didn't relate to their work directly? And then based on that, I built up a list after looking at about 100 profiles, a list of, okay, what type of content do they like? And I started making that. And then suddenly we got dozens of organic leads every month from that content, whereas we used to get maybe 2 or 3 before that.
So a problem that I've seen with with companies and people, less so, but more so with companies, they figure everything they're gonna post is viral. But the thing is, they're not building up their community. They're not cultivating it. And the thing is, if let's say one out of every 20 pieces goes viral or one out of 30, you need the other 19. You actually have to post them and go through the motions, because then you're building up your audience steadily, and then you're going to have the right piece of content at the right time. And if you're just going to try and bang it out every time to think that that's going to go viral, you're not going to have the community support it, because you're going to need the key people liking it, and it's sort of, you have to nurture that relationship along the way.
That's a really good point, actually. There's certain people. So like you were saying, Cyrus, you were saying you connect a lot of gamers, and they're a tight knit community. So you might get a like or a comment from a gamer. That means many other gamers that you're all connected with are more likely to see,
Yeah.
right? So I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn's algorithm, which LinkedIn hates that I talk about. But so in short, if let's say me and David are connected on LinkedIn, and me and Avner, who heads up our SEO, who's sitting right here, we're connected on LinkedIn, but the two of them are not connected. If I post something and Avner likes the post, he's not very likely to see the post in his newsfeed. Have you ever seen in your newsfeed this person liked or this commented on in your LinkedIn? That's very regular. There are only two platforms that really push that. One's Twitter and the other's LinkedIn, where you're seeing things from people you don't follow. They're not even a first connection, and you're more likely to see it for virality. So if let's say if the three of us were connected, LinkedIn algorithm understands that I know him, we know each other, they know each other. So if Avner likes my post, David's more likely to actually see my post than if the two of them weren't connected, even though I'm connected to both of them. Or if I'm connected, we're both connected to Avner, and Avner likes my post, and then you're also less likely to than if you're already first connection. But if you're a second connection and both connected to that person, and we have other connections outside of them, many mutual connections, LinkedIn understands if we want to introduce new connections and new information to you in your newsfeed, they want to see it from within a tight network, which is why in general it's important to find a niche. What could be geographical, it could be whatever it is, however it is, find kind of a niche that you like, of a personality of people that you like and you vibe with, and you should focus your connections there, or your organization engagement there. I mean, you should do it everywhere, but you should know, having someone you're randomly connected with in San Francisco, let's say you have 4 mutual connections, it's extremely unlikely outside of recently being connected that they're ever going to see any of your posts. Because if you, let's say, have 4,000 connections, you probably about 4,000 followers, all right, and about 4,000. And so what are the chances you don't see 4,000 people's posts in your newsfeed? So how are they going? What's the algorithm going to serve? This is one of the problems that LinkedIn had when they had a lot of growth early on. In my opinion, they kept things chronological. They never actually made a great algorithm that can help you see the pings and the people that you're interested with. Like they should have done when people click on a certain hashtag, you know what I mean? That you're more likely to see posts from people using that hashtag, whether they're actively using it in that tweet or not. And then they would have kept more people on. A lot of people like myself kind of got bored of a bunch of these random people that got on early like myself and ended up following like, you know, almost like 1,000 people. And now I'm not interested in 90% of them, right? And it takes so damn long to unfollow someone on Twitter. It's like too many clicks and it's too much noise.
Yeah, so what I was going back to what I was saying before, let's say you're a company, you're not so active on social media, but now you're coming up, you've got a big product launch and you want it to make a big splash. You know, you want everyone to be excited about it. And now you post about it on Facebook, you posted about it on LinkedIn, etc. But you get crickets back. Because the thing is, you haven't built up that community, you haven't developed that two-way relationship with them. So no one's going to care. Even if you think it's the most innovative product in the world and it's going to change people's lives, if you're not going there post after post, developing that community of yours, people aren't going to care. And then companies get upset with their social media team, what's going on. But yeah, you have to put in the reps time after time after time to develop it, nurture it. So the thing is, as you develop your voice, you need to be looking for both quality and quantity of posts. So after I wrote this first one that went viral, the post next week was looking at virality. And I made it, because sometimes I go into the meta sphere. And I was taking like, you never know. You never know about what time it is the best to post, what subject. You know, you could post it Thursday, 3:30 in the morning, you know, it goes viral, you know, and you'll have everything synchronized to the minute. I don't know what it is, the optimum time, Tuesday afternoon at like 2:22 or something like that, and nothing. Again, you just don't know about these things. And so the second one I wrote that went viral was actually, again, quite meta. I hadn't written for 3 weeks, which was very unusual. And I was like, I cannot go a 4th week without writing. So I was inspired to write about that. And I wrote about procrastination. And again, that got over 10,000 likes. And I think the thing is, that is something that's universal to all of us. And it's something especially applicable to the work environment. You know, we have things that are always on our task list. They never get off our to-do list. It's always like, today is the day. And it's not. And it's always, then it's going to become, tomorrow is the day. You know, tomorrow is the day I'm going to tick this off the list finally. You know, it never happens. And so I wrote about that and dealing with it. I had like a nice image, a pithy title, Start Your Engines. I think it was around the time of the Indy 500 as well. And that was something, again, very sort of innocent, completely applicable to professional life, but in a way that people aren't sort of expecting or normally discussing. You know, no one really talks about, well, how do you deal with procrastination? Even though it's something that is really so prevalent in our lives, you know, trying to become more productive. And I think that was the reason why people really responded to that. So that was interesting. And I guess, you know, also having the long break was quite enlightening.
So actually, last week, my posts on LinkedIn, I was in the States last week for a full week, and I was posting at different times than I would usually. I was jet lagged, so I was posting usually like 5:30 in the morning and Eastern time, so it's like 12:30 here. And I noticed that I was getting significantly more views and engagement. So on Thursday, after a week of posting and seeing maybe like, you know, I don't know, 50% increase, I posted and I asked if other people were seeing this increase in engagement. And of course, this post went totally flat. Same time, same thing, saying, you know, posting Eastern time on here. I tagged less. I've used hashtag, like I'm trying to figure it out because I'm always trying to learn the algorithm for me and our clients, right? So we can always better understand it. And it's funny how you can plan and you can start to see a theme and then eventually it goes flat. And then the next one back, you know, the next one back in Israel, you know, or just a photograph of me and my wife on the airplane does very well. And then like you're just Sometimes you don't know, but there are rules of thumbs, and we'll get more into that. Does anyone have any experience here with LinkedIn? Any of their posts that they felt that did better than average, and they think they might know why, or you guys have any insights from you?
But they have your picture.
Because you're my picture. Thank you. What can I say? My mother will be happy to hear that. I'll let her know. Yeah, Mickey. Well, who are you?
Mickey Wiseman. So pictures in general.
Uh-huh.
So if we did any posts on webinars that didn't have an image versus a post of an upcoming webinar with an image, that one was more successful. But our most successful posts are employee spotlight posts.
Right.
Where we're recognizing someone from our team, and it includes in there a quote that a colleague put in and why it's being recognized, and that gets not just the employees involved, which pushes employee advocacy, but also the customers working with them also respond and comment. So those are posts that are more effective than all the lead gen.
And so, are your employees connected with your customers?
I'm hoping.
You're hoping, right? So a lot of employers try not to push and brand their people there, and that's one of the reasons why you should, is because if you're, for an example like this, if your employees like a post and you're connected to your employees, if a few employees like it, they're more likely to see something that's shared from a company page as opposed to a personal page.
And one thing I would add from my own perspective is that despite sometimes the LinkedIn interface is quite difficult, reading the comments and seeing who's liked it, I try and loop back with every single person who's written a comment or liked it, and that way you can sort of fuel your base, grow your community, that you're going to get them more engaged. And I guess because you're developing this two-way relationship, it's only going to be beneficial to the algorithms, that they're going to see your stuff next time because you've developed this relationship. And I think what you touched on, Mickey, is a great point. People love stories. People love reading about their colleagues, their friends, what they're up to. It's sort of very exciting to see that someone they know and what they're doing. So I think that's a great source of content. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have multiple pictures, for example, of an event or whatever it might be, and you have an option for posting them as pictures or as a GIF, as an animation, or even as I say, easily as a Google video, photo video. You can turn them into a video very easily with Google Photos. You find if there's any difference in terms of views.
What? Photo versus video?
No, like photos, like when you have to swipe it, it'll be multiple photos.
Right.
One photo, or an animation, or a video.
I mean, so I have personally not done animations, so I can't answer for that. My experience with animations are for company pages, and I think it's more about the quality of the content for that. So I don't want to address that because I don't think I have enough experience. In general, I find photos to do better only because of our attention span. Just like for companies for lead generation forms or lead generation, banners, images do much better than videos when it actually comes to conversions. I'm not talking about actual, let's say, engagement rate or we're getting the message out deeper, better, building a better relation with the viewer. Because just like if in marketing, if you send someone to a landing page, often we remove the header, right? So we don't want them to navigate away. And the thing about if your goal is to collect leads on LinkedIn, getting an image, they're more faster to click to the landing page of lead generation form and convert. I know I'm talking lead gen more than engagement. I'll address that in a minute. Than if it was a video, because often they get sucked in and then quickly get bored and then they continue scrolling. So I mean, 100%, and I mean, or 100%, but more than not, at least for company pages, or even if you're advertising as an individual, if that's like your company page, I find for conversions and lead generation, static images or short GIFs will do better than videos. When it comes to content, I have a mixed bag. I mean, 90% of, for every one video, I probably have like 8 or 9 pictures. So I mean, my data isn't so clear. But when I'm thinking about it now, most of I do videos for myself one of two ways. Either I'm interviewing someone, and then it has to be extremely entertaining. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. So I have a video from I was drinking with a friend of mine who's one of the world's lead perfumologists. He makes perfume. And I'll be putting this up, and it was in Philly, and we were wasted. Now, this is going to be highly entertaining. So I'm specifically going to see the engagement. I'll keep an eye out on it. So that's one way. And he's not networked on LinkedIn. It's not his space. So I won't get much from, let's say, tagging him. Right. It's not the right audience, but just be interested. The other time is when I'm holding a video camera to my face and I'm talking about how to use LinkedIn ads for your business or LinkedIn in general. So those are the two. Usually I'm providing extreme value or entertaining with another person. Having someone else in, and it has to be a great conversation, I generally find to be better, but your brand needs a core, and my core is LinkedIn, and LinkedIn ads is our brand. That's what we're better at than anyone else. So I have to, even though those often do not do as well as other posts of other videos of interviewing people, or doesn't do as well as other posts of like pictures and things that aren't directly related to your professional life, like we talked about earlier. It's still very important because you don't want to lose your brand. It's very easy to get caught up on what does better, but it's important that you bring it all back home and focus on what you're doing in the workforce and on personal development. Yeah. What's your name? What's up, Ken? What? Nice to meet you.
So my question is, what works better, curating content or uploading your own media? It's something that I always think about because I try to give my perspective when I read stuff, and like to give my own insight. And then, should I share a link or upload like a photo?
Ayala, do you want to answer this one?
What works better?
Ayala leads our cybersecurity influencer platform, even influencer platform for cybersecurity, and we talk about this all the time. What's this better, a link or organic?
Organic.
Organic, always.
Every time.
And then what is the worst?
A link?
No, of something else.
No. Yeah.
A share.
The share.
Share.
Yeah,
So sharing gets very little views and engagement. And I have a reason why. I'll touch that in a minute, why shares suck. I think I know why. And it's unique to LinkedIn. Giving a link isn't, which is why you'll see the marketers will write like Ayala does often when she writes about cybersecurity marketing. She'll put, link in the comments because why Facebook, LinkedIn, they don't want to send you off platform. So they know you're embedding a link, and so they're going to penalize you. But if you put in the comments, you won't get penalized. In my opinion, the reason why shares suck, or why LinkedIn, let's say, suppresses them, is that you can share something around, like I can have, like the Wadi digital team. I mean, we have great reach, and we take LinkedIn more serious than anyone else as an individual level too. We're all very active. I mean, but if we all say, hey, let's all share this new blog or this whatever, or it's the LinkedIn will know, oh, a lot of people are sharing it. Obviously, this is my guess. I have no proof. What I do know, I do have proof is that shares are terrible for views and engagement. But I think they see that like, oh, there's a lot of shares. There's kind of like people are messaging, hey, share my content, or there might just be a lot of employees, this and that, and it's actually not good for what actually people want to see. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's the reason, but I do know that 100% shares in general do not do as well as literally just reposting the same post.
Yeah, but if I could just add, there's no reason why you can't do all of the above. Do
Sure.
all of them. And I'm saying, if this was all that you were posting, it might look a bit strange if, like, on Monday you posted it and on Wednesday you posted it in a different way. If you had different posts between them, it might be like, in case you missed it, or you don't even have to reference that. You can just sort of do it again. Because the thing is, people aren't going to see it. Everyone isn't going to see the same post all the time anyway. So you can sort of assume that you have a different audience for each of your posts every time. So why not say, I can take this piece of content, repackage it, repurpose it, get 3 to 4 posts out of it. I'm not locked into like one and done.
Does that answer your question? So that's some of the signs. Is that
My personal statistic is
confirmed, right? Does anyone disagree? Anyone have any contrary, or has anyone else seen the same thing? That shares or links do not do as well as organic content. So often, if there's like a blog I want to share and it will populate a link or something, I might just screenshot that and then just save it in my desktop, upload it as an image, and then put the link in the comments. If you really want to share, like if you really care about the reach. I mean, 4 out of 5 times at least when I'm sharing links, I don't do that. But if I really think this is important for people to see, I want more people to see it. Then yeah. So I mean, that's one way to curate also. Yeah. What's up?
Okay, so when you're sharing a link, LinkedIn pulls in the graphic and the meta tag details of that link, which makes it really helpful so you don't have to create a graphic for your post.
Correct.
And you're saying, no, don't put the link in the post, or yes, and then delete that link as soon as it's in the content, and then put it in the comments.
No. Do not put I'm not saying don't do it. There are many reasons to do it, and I regularly do it. Saturday night I posted a video to YouTube about customer service from my favorite YouTuber, right? So like I will share links, right? But what I'm saying is if you share any link that leads anyone off of LinkedIn, you will get less reach than if you didn't. Now, let's say you want to share a link and it's important for you. What you could do is what I do is you, if you happen to have if it's for your business, you might have it in your drive or whatever you're using. You probably have might have the image stored and upload it, write your text, and then put the link in the comments and write link in comments to continue reading in the comments. First thing. Or what you can do when I get really lazy, which happens regularly, I'll take this the snippet tool, the PC, you know what I'm talking about? It's like 1 second, open the snippet. I'll go to the blog, which I'll have open because I'm sharing it. I'll snippet the image it's going to grab, and I'll just save it. I'll save it to my downloads, where I never have to use it again. One time, upload the image, and it looks like it just doesn't show where it's coming from, and I'll write link in the comments.
And the user experience is they click on the image and they just see the image. Yeah, exactly. And that's annoying.
Correct, but I specifically write the link is in the comments. I'm not misleading. The first comment.
Yeah, but nobody reads. I mean, not everybody reads the whole thing.
Right. Okay.
So you get like.
That's fine. Those people are not. You're right, and that might.
You've done your job.
No, you're
right.
No, you are right. You're right. Those people aren't my audience, so I don't do it that way. People that want long-term content and don't want to make a connection with me. Like I'm a huge people person, if you couldn't tell. Like I love people, and I'm trying to make those connections. I like longer form content. I'm one of those people that can, listen to podcasts and YouTube. I love the long form content. I love going deep into things. So if you're just, quick to click, if those are the people that you're looking for, even if you're doing lead gen, those end up being crappier leads, generally speaking. You might, than quality leads. But in general, I find for the people I'm trying to engage with is I like to make longer content, and I'll share more of my what I want in the post, and I will end with, and they need to read it. Link in the to continue to learn more about whatever.
Sure, we don't argue about that. I do the same, but what you're saying, which is very true, is that the fact that you're screenshotting something that looks like clickable, it's like it's beyond, no?
What do you mean it's beyond?
It goes one step ahead, in terms of right. I mean, if you do say comment, link in comment, that makes sense, but
right.
It looks like it's clickable.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have the link under that says it's a link. It doesn't have the bold black headline. Doesn't have the bold headline that populates. It doesn't have it, so it's clear that it's not.
No, it's not. It's clear to us. It's not clear to people who are not.
So let's just think. Everyone, take out your phone. Go to the LinkedIn app. Come on, significant reach. Guys, take out your LinkedIn. Go to your newsfeed. All right. Go on your phone. People are overwhelmingly consuming on mobile. Scroll through. What percentage are you seeing on your newsfeed are actually images or videos, not the text? Because if you have the text, even if it's long form text, whether you share a link or not, it's got ... read more. So it's truncated. You see Yoel live. That's good.
What do you mean? How many?
I'm just saying what
LinkedIn we see
your real estate on your phone, on your newsfeed, overwhelmingly or a strong amount of it is actually taken up more by images or videos than it is the actual text. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know this. Therefore, what catches the eye, even for ads or you have anything, first the image, then they read the text, and then the headline, usually. But definitely the image captures them first. So, okay, so I want the benefits of the image, and I want the benefits of the content that I'm writing, and I want the benefits of the reach of it not being a link. So I get all three, and you can too.
And sometimes when you post,
you're giving value by informing your audience about something that happened, and you take the gist of it and write it in your post, and then you offer them the article to read all the details, because if they're really interested and they want to read the whole article, you're saying you should only put the link in the comment so that otherwise, I mean, Aren't you doing them a disservice by not making it easier for them to read the details?
My goal is what I care most 95% of the time that I share. I don't know that overwhelmingly time when I share a link, I want to provide my value and my 2 cents, and therefore the text is far more important. And people seeing that is important for me. If that's not important for you and you don't want to do it, then don't do it. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't. But I am telling you for a fact that sharing without a link will do better than sharing with a link.
So I would just
Yeah.
add that you're not always going to get a quality and quantity of traffic, and sometimes there's going to be a trade-off. Now Yoel has got very clear priorities, like what he wants in terms of quality versus quantity. That's something for you to decide whether you want more traffic that isn't as relevant, that isn't coming through the funnel as much, or do you want less traffic that is of a higher quality? And you're going to work that out as you curate, you post more. It's something that you're going to determine, and hopefully after a while you're going to get both the quality and the quantity. Until you get there, there's sometimes you do have to make a compromise on what you're going to give up. Sorry, what were you?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, so we experimented with what works best in terms of reach, click-through rate, etc. on LinkedIn for our posts. And one thing that we do that completely misleads our audience is that on the graphic we put a button that says, looks like a button that says download here or download now. And even though we do that, and if you click on it, the image is just going to get bigger and nothing else will happen, people still end up going to the page or downloading the guide or leaving their credentials when we do that.
By the way, proof that this is a debate. Actually, I love that you brought that up because it's true. It says download now, and you click, and it looks like a button, and it's
Nothing,
not going to.
just opens it in.
But if you're not smart enough to figure it out, then I mean, you're not going to be qualified lead anyway, even if you're the right persona. Sorry, but Google Ads, LinkedIn Ads allows you to have a download button that's not clickable on your banner. Google does not. They consider it misleading. So as you can see, there's different platforms, different things. Just like you can have a snippet of like a Google also adds their banner as they don't allow like the play symbol, like a video. They're going to click it, the video is going to start. They think it's misleading because if you click it, you're going to go to a landing page that has a video. The video isn't going to start playing there. If you click on the banner, you're not going to start downloading immediately. So just so you get an idea. So obviously there is a disagreement of how it is. They're both right in the end of the day. My goal here is to help you get more engagement, more views, and build your brand. And that's what I want to help you and us as a community be able to do. And so scientifically, that works better. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it. Yeah, what's up? What's your name?
Shmuel Hirschberg.
What's up, Shmuel?
I have
What do
a
you do?
question. What?
What do you do?
Primarily email marketing. So I have a question for David. I saw you both on LinkedIn Live and earlier in the week. And I got a chance to look at some of your articles. I think it was 80 something articles, very impressive. And I see you're always using the LinkedIn, what's it called? The LinkedIn articles? Or
Yeah.
Does that have a special name for it? Or?
Yeah,
No,
the articles,
LinkedIn articles.
Yeah,
Generic.
with
I like it.
Pulse, through Pulse, where people can subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your take on posting on LinkedIn's platform as opposed to having your own blog, your own website, where you would actually post content on your own site to build up, more content on there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, thank you very much for it. I guess the thing about LinkedIn is that the audience is already there. I was at Content Israel early today. They were talking about 600 million users on LinkedIn. So the thing is, in a way, it's a lot easier for you to sort of go there. You're building up your brand, your LinkedIn profile, and you're sort of connecting and interacting with those that are already there. And people say the same thing about Facebook and Instagram and all of that. At the end of the day, I don't really feel that I need my own website. But if I wanted that, if that was priority, then yeah, I would definitely shift the content across. It's something that we're also dealing with Follow Team Israel, because basically we're seeding everything to Facebook, but we're going to be having hopefully our own website in time for the Olympics. It's about 5 months now till the Olympics start. But yeah, it's a great question. One thing to be wary of though, in terms of SEO, is duplicate content. You never want to start putting your posts verbatim everywhere, all over the place, because they're going to cannibalize each other. Is everyone sort of familiar with the concept of duplicate content and why it's a bad thing?
Well, why don't you just tell people what it is?
So basically, if you put the same, Google's basically trying to find the best results for you. And if you start putting the same thing on the internet, it doesn't, it basically is just going to view them as one result. It's not going to, because it sees that the 5 things are all the same thing. And so basically, you don't get any value for the additional copies. And what we see that all the time with press releases. When companies put out a press release, it's the same content. It even runs in newspapers or what have you, 40 newspapers, whatever. The next day it disappears because basically Google realizes that this is like fluff on the internet, duplicate content. It has no long-standing resonance, and therefore you want unique content. I mean, even if you rewrite it and put the words differently, that's fine. But it's something to be wary of. If and then are you going to have snippets? You don't have to. You solve one question, and then you have to answer others as a result of that.
Yep, Pablo.
Hi, John. My name's David.
What's up, David? How's that beard?
Digital marketing, sports industry as well. I noticed with regard to PR this week, a famous cricketer actually took his PR and used it as an image on social media, as opposed to releasing a proper update regarding his physical health entering into major tournaments. Do you think this could be replacing PR on LinkedIn with regard to what you're saying about copy paste and duplicate content?
Yeah. I mean, as we see, as sort of celebrities are developing their own brand, their own channels, which they can push out the content, there's no reason for them to sort of use a middleman anymore. We see that celebrities, particularly using Instagram, most of them are on Instagram, writing it as sort of like a text on an Instagram post and putting it out there. And that's how they're getting the message out themselves directly to the fan. They don't need anyone anymore. And in some ways, it's sort of people are scared of that because they can go rogue off script and say whatever they want. I don't know. Also, we've been speaking about the Olympics a lot, but coming up to the Olympics, the IOC has very strict rules about what athletes can and can't post during the Olympics. And there's also the famous example in Australia of the rugby player Israel Folau. He wrote homophobic posts and basically created a worldwide scandal just by posting these things on Twitter. And now he was basically kicked out of playing sport in Australia. He's now playing rugby league in France, and the whole media has followed them just to see what he's doing. And so the thing is, athletes now have that power to basically say what they want whenever they want, and celebrities, as we know, have that platform. So for any celebrities that are very vocal on social media, they have a lot of power. And as we know, there's no more powerful person than the President of the United States, and how he uses Twitter, it's unprecedented.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best branders in the world, whether you like him or not.
And also, just another thing, we can see that one person's tweet can influence the stock market.
Yeah, but Elon Musk.
Elon
It's
Musk.
a great example, or just him getting high with Joe Rogan.
Rihanna's with Snapchat.
Right.
Dropped the stock 3%.
Yeah. There's things like that all the time.
You mentioned earlier the rugby player. There was also in esports, the Korean guy tweeted out something and nearly started a war.
Yeah. And that's the thing also,
I don't know where it would have been started.
You have to realize also, while you're creating your own brand and you're also working with companies, you have to be very careful at all times what you're putting out there. We try and be edgy, especially on Twitter. And again, I wrote a post on LinkedIn about why is it always Twitter that the scandals always happen. More so than any of the other platforms, it's always Twitter. So you have to be careful. Like, just if you're on a Twitter and you've got that tweeting mindset, just sort of think one extra second before you post, and sort of less on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. But just be careful, because I mean, for me, I don't want to burn any bridges. And if you do anything out of line, that's there forever, and that's something you have to be careful of, even if you're like getting wasted.
Yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk says you should treat. I said this before him, but people listen to him more than me. You should treat LinkedIn like it's Facebook. Generally, I mean, there are exceptions. I mean, right? So stay away from where the politics, religion, and sex, for the most part. But I really think you should. So when people complain like on your post, like, oh, this isn't Facebook, or oh, this is that, like those people are haters. They're so subconscious and they feel so insecure that they don't feel comfortable enough to post on LinkedIn, or they just they might see his tens of thousands of likes, right? And then there's a lot of envy. So I mean, really treating it like Twitter, treating LinkedIn a little more like Facebook. If you share some things on Facebook, consider how you can repurpose it for LinkedIn. To touch on David, was that your name? What you said was about people taking pictures of their PR.
Yeah, just giving a general update, which would have previously been in a proper link website PR
From the team,
Right.
to the
So
journalists.
I'm seeing more of this, where people will ironically they'll take a picture if they got posted on print, and they'll post a picture of them in the print, and they'll never even share the link. And you can't read it. The text is too small, or they'll just take the headline with their image, and you can read like the first paragraph if you zoom in. But I am seeing more of that, and that will get more reach than if you copy pasted the actual link to the full article online. Yeah. What's your name?
My name is Ronan.
What's up,
I work
Ronan?
for Cadence Sales. I have a question for you. You mentioned that in the articles you tell people to subscribe. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I wrote my first article.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I didn't see any subscribe button, but I do see that LinkedIn has something called Pulse. So, do you write the link? Can you explain, what are you doing when you're writing an
How do you
article?
ask people to
How to go through the process of writing an article.
So I'm part of this. I was invited to be part of this group where they had the opportunity to invite people to subscribe. I don't know if it's been fully rolled out yet. All I know is that when I go to my LinkedIn, I have the option to write a sort of a small post on my page, which goes on the feed, or write an article.
Right.
And the article is part of my thing. And if you go to one of my posts, you'll see then it has the option to subscribe. So I guess we have to see if you've been able to do that, because as we know with LinkedIn Live and what have you, not everyone has the ability to do it. But let's look after and see if you can. But that was your question?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to make the point, go back to what we were talking about, doing things by mistake. I don't know if anyone has done this, but if you're responsible for writing for your on social media for your company, just check things 1 second before you post something, that you're not writing something as yourself as the company in the company's account, or vice versa. Has anyone ever done that? Like, yeah.
It's there are probably more people who are not admitting to it.
Yeah, it's something that's like, if you've done it, if you do it as the company and write your own personal stuff, that's pretty bad. You want to avoid that.
So how do you do the post? So what do you do? Do you have to log in? What is Pulse? What's LinkedIn Pulse?
Pulse is kind of out of, it's not in use anymore. There was a time that Pulse was trying to make a more
Like a push for our articles.
an ability to help people become famous, like on Quora, you can write lots of articles, and it doesn't really work anymore.
Right.
Right. So how do you post? So I think what Ronan was at.
Anybody in your program has an option article.
No, anybody can post an article.
Right, correct.
It's like Medium.
My question
I wanted to help answer his question.
He asked about the situation.
He asked about.
We were going to
They
review it
had a
after.
feature
Oh,
We
yeah.
answered it. We answered it.
Okay, but I thought other people were looking.
Said
okay.
maybe it's
So I just want to
possible.
see what you go through. So real fast, what is your process of posting? And I'll talk about my process of posting. And we're actually going to do a cool activity, by the way, soon as we're going to wrap up soon.
So now, like I said, I go to my LinkedIn, I click on write the article. I actually have the option of I have two series. I have words from the wise, where I write my thoughts, and sometimes when I interview people, it's words to the wise. So I have the option of clicking one of either of those two, and then I guess it just does it all, and it sends it out to the people who have subscribed. I didn't always put in the call to action in the beginning, and then I realized after maybe I should have. So I did that. I do that. I have a link also to my archive. Every time I write something, I've created a Google Doc, which is basically available for the world to see. It's like the most liberal setting for Google Doc security. I think you can see it if you click on the post. It's like available on the internet, basically. That's what it is now. It's funny though, because I still get requests from people to edit the Google Doc, even though it's available to all. I mean, on view only. So that's how I do it. Yeah.
Anyone have any more questions or comments? Anything that you've learned specifically from posting? Yeah.
You're not talking at all about LinkedIn for sales, or you decided.
Right, because that's not the right. So we could, if you have a question, we're happy to address it. But the purpose of this conversation is for you to be able to learn to grow an audience and learn build your brand and help you find that your post once in a while goes viral. If you have a specific question about LinkedIn and sales, be happy to address it. But that's not.
Thinking about the fact that you use your LinkedIn when you're writing emails or when you're writing LinkedIn messaging. Do you think that there's anything specifically special about it being LinkedIn and the way that you
Be human. You can be human on LinkedIn. I mean, in general, which is why I stay away from company posts. No one wants to see a logo. They don't know who posted it. They have different motives. It's not individual. At the end of the day, I mean, we're in B2B, right? As in Wadi Digital, it's what we do. But really, we understand B2B is actually H to H, and we understand salespeople like this. In order to do sales, you really need to make a human-to-human connection, and LinkedIn is an extension of that human-to-human connection. So when you do that, be human. Yeah, Pamela.
So I guess that's my observation. Being someone who I post on LinkedIn because, just to build my own personal brand, I guess, whatever that might be today or yesterday, next week, but also to promote my company. And I have found that when if I post the material promoting my company, right, something that happened at my company under my name,
it does better.
But tagging the company and the CEO and of course and everybody else, it does exponentially better than when the company does it, because I guess as you said, it's me saying, oh, I'm a person expressing something that happened at my company, whether it was an event or a this or a that, as opposed to like this, what is it, a building? Is it a widget saying we had an event, and it doesn't. So I guess that's what I'm saying for those people who are also trying to build up they also represent their company social media, that there is, as much as you said, that there can be the companies are saying, oh, don't use our people, but you have to use your people, because if the CEO is posting it, it will get better traction than if
reach, right?
Yeah. So the thing is, unless you're like Nike, Apple, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, these top household names, people don't really connect with the brand, a faceless brand. They're more likely to connect with Richard Branson than they are with Virgin, so on and so forth. The way you say they like your story, they connect with you, it's human. It's hard for them to sort of feel, that the mushy feeling for around, a company, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head there.
I just want to say, I want to give a do not. If you are not, you can, in general, people that have larger followings than most, they hate when they're tagged when they're not relevant. People know you're tagging them in order to be able to get views. If you're not in the picture, if you didn't learn something from that person, you're really elevating that post is dedicated to elevating that individual, or something like. In general, people know when their brand is being used for you to leverage yourself. So I mean, it's fine, but it's important that you're elevating the other person more than you are yourself. Then that's my rule of thumb. But just so you know, speaking to other influencers on the platform, it's a frustration. Just like I get a lot of bots, but I get a lot of people trying to tag me so they can get thousands of views. It's a frustration. So when you do that, it's absolutely fine to tag. Make sure it's actually relevant and that individual is the center of your post, not you're the center of, and then tag someone else. Hey, what do you think about this? When it's often not relevant to that person anyway.
If I could just go to touch on LinkedIn sales, though. I mean, that's what I spoke about at the beginning. Like, you've got a connection. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to take it that they go from a stranger that you're connected to hopefully someone further down the funnel? And, that's something you just have to go with your instincts and your gut, how it's going to evolve. Are you going to connect with them and then straight away, boom, hit them with the pitch, I want to show you something. Can we meet? Da, da, da. Or are you going to sort of build up the relationship? I don't know, talking about the weather and general stuff, and then sort of lead up to it. And in some ways, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You don't know how or where the relationship is going to lead. You just, like I said, you have to trust your instincts and say, this is the appropriate time to mention this in this way. And, if you connect with someone and you try and push something on them straight away, they might like that. You haven't wasted their time. But on the other hand, they might think that you're sort of coming too heavy onto them. There was someone I connected with, and I don't really use LinkedIn for anything, but I sort of wanted something where she could help me with, and I asked her, and then she actually unconnected with me, and she said, yeah, I didn't know this is where I was going to go, and this is something that can happen to you. It can happen to anyone. Has this ever happened to anyone that you've connected with someone, you've tried to sort of push the relationship further sort of straight away, and they've either like ghosted you or unconnected with you?
Happened the wrong way. That you get in, and you instantly wonder whether this is really a person for change. Because marketers use this tool so badly that people don't want to connect.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah, and also I've written a post about this, the way
Very
LinkedIn
common.
is for men and for women now. Unfortunately, now people are they're basically, spamming LinkedIn, or sort of they're using it inappropriately to sort of connect with females. And it's completely different platform if you're a guy, if you're a girl. If you're interested, you can look up the post. That one got a lot of interesting comments.
Yeah. What's your name?
Mark, just a question about articles versus straight in post.
Yeah.
And also, if you do a post as opposed to article, should it be really long, really short? Should it have emoticons in or not? Or is it industry specific or person specific?
So I would answer that by saying, don't answer that in isolation. Do you have a whole content calendar that's sort of planned out? That it's going to be one in a series. If it's just a random post, that an article caught your attention, you want to write about it now, just go for it. Don't overanalyze. Just do what comes naturally. If it's something in your company, you've got a whole calendar, then yeah, think it out, go for it. You got to think of the artwork, of the titles, the call to action, and all of that.
How often is too often?
Well, how often is too often to post?
Is this
You want to guess my answer?
for your company? Is this for your company?
Myself.
Yourself.
Yeah, what do you think I'm going to say?
Nothing.
There's no such thing as too often. I looked at how many connections I have, and let's assume when you connected, they're automatically a follower, and I get a lot of followers that aren't connected with. And I see there's a significant amount of people that I'm connected with that unfollow me. I don't care. That's not my audience. People are there to know about me. They connect to me as an individual, as a person, my passions, and my expertise in LinkedIn advertising, and B2B marketing. That's why people follow me. For all those other people, that's fine. They can unfollow them. Some of my favorite personalities, I think they might post too much and it's not relevant to me. Okay, I unfollow them. Or I unfollow them on all platforms but one, let's say. But I think in general, there's no such thing as posting too little. I've recently upped my commitment from daily post organic to twice a day, 5 days a week. That's my new goal. It's hard because I'm always thinking, what can I post? But and if I could, I would do 3 a day. But I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do twice a day, 3 days a week, once a day, the other 2 days, and take it off on the weekend, on the weekend not post. But there is no reason. I mean, right now the organic reach on LinkedIn is like unreal. I just want to be clear. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but the LinkedIn has been on fire for the last 2 years.
And can I just add, you're like I answered Pen, you're also assuming that everyone, the same audience, is going to see the same post every time. It's going to be completely different people every time.
Right, at different times of day, right. So they're not always going to see your post. People tell me all the time, people stop me on Rochester, like, oh, I know you from LinkedIn, and people open and say, all I see is you on LinkedIn. That's fine. I tell them one of two things. Engage with my posts more, or they complain, I say you can unfollow me. I don't take any personal offense, you know what I mean? So like, I think in general, the more you post, as long as the content is good, valuable, interesting, personal and you demonstrate that you're vulnerable and human, which people don't know how to do in general and on LinkedIn in particular. Like if you can't show that vulnerability, and for people, I know a lot of clients here, but like if you've been on a call with me, you know, I'm very open, very vulnerable. I'll say things that, you know, I often wouldn't want on record. Ayala's laughing because she sits next to me and she knows I say. So like just be yourself, be vulnerable. If you're vulnerable and you're human, no matter how much you post, people are going to want to continue to follow you. And if they're unfollowing you, then what do you care? They're not your target audience anyway. So the more the merrier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If your content's good. Yeah. What's your name in the back?
Danny.
What's up, Danny?
Just going back to what David said a minute ago. Can you talk a little bit about strategy versus random posting? I mean, you've got the Olympics coming up, so you have a strategy of how often you're going to be posting about Olympics, as opposed to random posting for yourself or for your company.
Answer from LinkedIn perspective. It's a total different answer.
Right. So, I mean, are you posting personally? Is this a question personally or for the company?
No, I mean, we choose one method or the other for a specific thing. Like if you have an event coming up, as opposed to, you know, something that your company posts randomly on content, solutions that they have, or products that they have. Is there? Would you prefer? Would you advise one strategy?
No,
over
I'd
the other?
always advise both. You always want to have as many sort of bites to the cherry as possible, and you could basically say that we're going to use the random posts for something that comes up unscheduled. We'll also schedule posts that will be scheduled, and then you can have longer ones that are also scheduled. So basically, there's always you want to have flexibility, and I think that's the emphasis of any content calendar. You want to have some form of plan, but then life takes over, news happens, and you never know what's going to happen today, tomorrow. You don't want to be locked into your calendar if this groundbreaking news has just happened and everyone's, talking about it now and it's relevant. And particularly if they're coming to you because of your thought leadership and want to hear what you've got to say about it, and it's silence because you're locked into the calendar, then that, you've got to be flexible. So I would say plan and also be flexible and have the right to say, okay, we're going to do this now, we're going to do that now. But yeah, good to be organized, but adapt.
So I'm actually going to take a little different angle. Anyone here go to the workout regularly or go to the gym regularly? Okay. Okay. So now I'm feeling terrible. I should be going to the gym. And when do you go to the gym? 7 a.m. When?
7 p.m.
Right. It's the same time. You see, you worked it into your schedule and your routine. That's what you need to do into posting. So if you sit and you have your morning coffee, let's say you get to work, you have your coffee and you're chilling a bit, sit in your phone, make a post on LinkedIn. You got to work it into your schedule.
Problem is when you go to the gym, you're going to do that exercise. When you go onto your social network, I always forget why I went in it in the first place because there's so much. Oh wow! And then this and wait a minute, I knew there was something I wanted to do here.
Right.
What I would
Well,
say
some people go to the gym and do that too. They just stand around, yeah. So
with
tanning bed.
With the tools that are available to schedule all your posts at the beginning of the month, you can say, listen, it's almost going to be the end of February. So now February 27, we're going to plan all of March. It's locked in. But should anything random happen, we want to deviate from we're not going to deviate. That's going to happen on its own. But here, I can do anything that happens as it happens. You with me? And so the thing is, the worst thing that happens is like you get to work. It's like, what are we going to post today? Like we don't know. So if you've got something scheduled, you can always fall back on that. And if you've got nothing else that happens during the course of the day, okay, you've already got your scheduled posts going.
So what I have to say to that is, from a corporate perspective, on the company posting, I use a platform. I'm scheduled a year in advance on some posts. They come across quarterly, monthly, and then every week you fill in. But on a personal level, I don't want to sound like that.
I was answering purely
I
from
was
a.
the one who asked that. I was the one who asked the question.
Yeah.
I was the one who answered the question with that. But
No, I was answering from the corporate point of view.
oh, okay. So the personal point of view, it just doesn't seem right to schedule it in advance.
No. So to answer that question from the personal point of view, you have to have the subject, you have to have the content lined up. I would never write if I wasn't happy with what I was writing. If I didn't think it was a flushed out article, I normally post on Tuesdays, and I didn't get last week's article to a place where I was happy with it till Thursday. Um, and so that's myself, and I think it's the same. Like, you never want to put something out there for the sake of posting if you're not entirely comfortable with how it is, if it's fleshed out, if it's providing something that people are gonna enjoy. So yeah.
I have a question. When you mentioned Tuesday, Thursday, I've been looking at a trend. I'm wondering if anybody else has seen this. I've noticed that in LinkedIn, the audience that I get, the most engagement, reach, leads, it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And the rest of the week, it's pretty low.
I don't like. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm just curious to see.
I don't like that. I don't even like having this conversation. I'll tell you why. When I used to sell insurance. I did cold calling, so you can probably get an understanding a little bit of my personality if you know it well enough. And there's like when it comes to sales, or let's say cold calling, when's the best time to call? The answer is now. Because there's always now. You're always going to make an excuse. Oh, it's better to go to the gym on an empty stomach, or I plan on eating a lot of protein at this time, so I'll go to the gym before. And you never make it, right? The hardest step is the first one out the door. And so, in general, okay, those things might be true. Like, so if you're doing it for a business and you're doing a bunch of posts and you're scheduling a bunch, sure, concentrate them on Tuesday or Wednesday. But when you have an idea or there's something you want to share, just take out the phone and do it. Literally between your thought and your thumb, there should be, and the LinkedIn, there should be nothing in between. That's my opinion. Because if not, if you try to schedule when's the best time, what's that? It's not going to happen. If I see a link that's hot and I want to share it, I'll share it. I'm not going to do the snippet thing because it's just, you know what I mean? So it's just like, even though there are times that are better, and we try to focus on these, but you need to exercise your brain and your routine into regularly posting on LinkedIn. You want to make it as easy as possible.
And I think a lot of people here are sort of, they have this disposition to sort of posting 4 or 5. You want to hit that sweet spot between like Israel and the east coast of America and sort of still Europe. It's like early afternoon. And yeah, I mean, that's just some mishigas, we're carrying around with us. I mean, we don't really know.
It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean, it really doesn't. Because if it carries, it carries. And technically we have an advantage because we're ahead of, it's us, Europe, and then we have 10 hours of America behind us. So, I mean, we have an advantage of being ahead because, getting early engagement does help. The algorithm does prove that.
And also what I was saying before about virality is that if it fuels that first phase, where at the point of the time and the day where it gets that second win, that can actually be critical, not when you post it, but when it's going to go into that next phase of like true virality. And that's all going to be like 10, 12, 18 hours after you originally posted. So that's also something else to keep in mind.
Are there any questions from the live feed? Comments?
There's comments, yeah.
Comments? All right. Unless they're worthwhile. There's always comments. Any other questions before we wrap it up? And then we're going to do something we're going to get off the live, and then we're going to do something unique. Yes.
My question is for David and Elena, and I write for a startup. And is it mandatory at all to have a company page, or preference is from customer page to whatever?
So you're writing in the name of the company?
Yeah, and also sometimes I write for on behalf of Russian-speaking implementation strategies, so they're not capable of writing English, and they ask me sometimes to write for their customer page and also for the company page. So what should be the ratio between customer page on the customer page?
That's a good question. I mean, I would tie back into what we discussed earlier with Pamela about how the employees naturally gonna get more attention than the company. But the thing is, if the company doesn't have sort of employees it's willing to develop as personalities, then it really has to be the company itself that sort of develops its own brand. And already, if that's the case, if it's content in the name of the company and the personality of the company, it's going to be different than if it's coming from a person. Because ultimately, our content has our DNA on it. I write in my voice, Yoel writes in his voice, so on and so forth. And you basically have to find company voice, develop it. And often people in marketing sort of use personas or avatars to basically say, this is going to be the company voice. It's a 30-year-old woman. talking like this, talking like that, and this is how we're going to develop it. A good thing like that is that if anyone ever stops writing or someone else does it, they can basically continue it in the name of the company. Because often when people write for the company and develop that voice and that brand, and then they leave the company, then you're stuck. Because now, so again, everything is got pluses and minuses. So if you're forced to write in the company's voice, that's fine. Just sort of plan ahead and work out who your audience is and the tone that it's going to come from for the company. Otherwise, same thing. If you're then going to write in the voice of a person, think about that, what their style is, their tone, the types of subjects they'll be focusing on. But at the end of the day, it all has to be worked back from who your audience is. What sort of content would they like to hear? How would they like to hear it? What sort of things are going to motivate them and fuel them and get them engaged? So this is interesting. I want to come back more because I think one of the great things when you're any sort of opinion writer is that when you have your audience, they look forward to your articles. They want to read them, and then they read them twice, and then they share them, and basically they become your ambassadors. So that's what you want to be heading towards. So it's a lot of planning at the start, and then a lot of writing. Just keep doing it, pumping it out. Never be afraid to sort of fail, so to speak. Just like I said, quality and quantity.
We're going to end the live here. If you have any questions, come on after. Can you hit end broadcast on the laptop on the top right? And we'll continue with the questions, and we're going to connect, and we're actually going to do something unique that I've never done before. So this isn't the unique part. We'll do it later. First thing